Her mask, a surgical mask over her face to conceal her identity in case, I guess, there's tear gas. A bandana of the American flag on her head, dressed in black, making peace signs with both hands, and nose to nose with a row of police officers who at this point can't really move without pushing her, without hurting her. Pam Grimes, our producer, and Jordan Bizardo were here. Are you getting that shot? Do you see that girl right there? I mean, it's unbelievable. And actually, I've worked my way all the way back to Dan Funface's position, and it's quite dramatic. The lengths, as you say, these protests are willing to go to. She's risking injury right now, but I suggest it's not too big a risk with all the cameras around. I think there's still an opportunity for her to send her message about NATO, her message against war, her message pro-peace. She sees that opportunity, and she's seizing it right now.
And we talk about these protesters and the endurance that they have. You know, you talk to them out there. These are almost like expert protesters. They go to every event, whether it's here or in Florida or anywhere else around the country, Washington, D.C. I mean, they do this over and over again to the point where I talked to them yesterday, and they have code for certain things that they do. So, for example, if they're marching underneath a tunnel, they start screaming and yelling.
It's their profession.
It's almost like their profession. So it's almost not surprising to hear that they're willing to stand their ground and hold their ground for hours on end and march for 6, 7, 10 hours if they have to.
We're looking at a protester right now with his gas mask on, so he's like, bring it on. We're ready to withstand anything that you've got coming our way.
But, you know, a lot of them are standing way back in the rear, too. And, you know, it takes two different kinds of people. You know, the ones who can stand in the back and shout and point the finger and that sort of thing, and the guys who get way up front and go nose to nose.
Front line, yeah.
And those people are few. And once they get those real troublemakers out, the crowd subsides, and you get control of it easily. And that's what you're seeing happening here now. They got the real roughnecks out of there early.
The leaders of the group. Once you get them, the others will recoil and go back.
Yeah, the ones who were trying to be seen and make a name for themselves, they got them out of there.
Tom, is it your impression that they're getting ready to use tear gas anytime soon? Because we've been seeing officers taking off the tear gas masks, to putting them on, taking them off. Anything that you can tell us from that end? I don't know if we're on a delay with Tom as well. All right,
guys, I can hear you great. Come to me if you want to.
No, my question to you was the fact that we have been seeing officers putting on the mask, taking them off. Is there any indication to you at this point that they're getting ready to...
Let me say this.
Go ahead, Bob.
One thing that's happening here now is they're bringing in the large wagons. Those are the pictures you're seeing. And those,
arrests,
if they have to, they can quickly get people into those large paddy wagons and get them out quickly. So if they want to make large-scale arrests, they are prepared to do that, and they've just brought in the vehicles to do it with.
Julie, can you see from your vantage point those wagons that are being brought in?
Are you talking to me, y'all? I'm sorry.
Yes, Julie. That's okay. I understand you got a lot going on out there.
We do. We have a couple distractions out here. But what we're seeing right now are two squadrons pulling in. I think Bob's the one that called it. Absolutely being brought in to do what they are designed to do, and that's lock people up when they need to. Zip ties. You can see the red zip ties on the turtle vests of these Chicago officers right on the front line. Here's a gentleman trying to throw himself in front of that police vehicle, and police are not allowing for it. It's going to be a quick
these people will not
escape
stop
route for him.
So he'll go away. You can kiss him goodbye.
Now,
and
if you
anybody
look right
else
there,
who steps up there.
It's almost like, you know, he saw the wagons come. Okay, I'm going to be arrested. Here I go. And again, I bring up the point. Are they making their point? Do people see this as the protesters really wanting to get their word out, or just causing controversy?
And are the NATO leaders even paying attention? Although at this point it's 6 o'clock, the NATO summit wrapped up at 5 o'clock. So I guess you could say that some of these leaders are in their hotel rooms, possibly watching TV. Likely or not, who knows? But that's what some of these protesters are hoping for.
They went to dinner.
They went to dinner, yeah.
So just so you all know, out here in the field, they have just moved into another formation. The cops who were standing still and holding their ground for the last, 15, 20 minutes easily, have now just moved forward. That one single gentleman who tried to put himself in front of that police vehicle as it was moving forward was easily taken down to the ground. They still got him down, but it allowed police to move forward is what it did. It created a weakness in the protesters and a distraction among their group, and it allowed this group of police officers on the front line to scoot in. And what they've done is they've surrounded a a smaller group now. They've got a smaller group to move back. It's not as wide of a street. And now they've got their police squadron there, which is blocking it off as well. They're going to make sure there's a clear path for that vehicle to get through, and as you all know, ready to arrest people as necessary.
And it looks like that's what they're doing right now, taking a man away, you know, straddling him. He's going into the wagon in just a few seconds. 4 officers are carrying him, arm, leg, and there he goes.
Are any of the protesters attacking or trying to keep these paddy wagons from making it their way through, or can they even do that because there's probably barricades set up?
The barricades along the sidewalk are designed to keep people back, and it is also an avenue to this triage, this makeshift triage by the protesters out here on the street. It seems like most people have cleared from the alleyway here, but there is just a little bit of access on the sidewalk. Most people are being contained in the street, if I'm answering your question, and I apologize for that. But they probably, I mean, looking now at this group here, maybe 75 people, maybe a little bit less. They're a strong group. They're not giving up.
But
yeah,
it's dwindling. It is dwindling. And those are the ones that are going to stick to it no matter what. We want to stop for just a second with you, Julie, and talk to you about a video that's just into the WGN newsroom of an injured protester that we just received. So we do know from this video that there have been some injuries out there, and there's a gentleman right there. He's holding his head and bleeding, and he's standing there, and someone is tending to it. I'm not sure who that is, but so we are getting some injuries out there. There's another gentleman standing there whose face looks like he got something in his eye, and he's bleeding, and then another woman. So there are injuries. We did see the ambulances a little while ago come in. They obviously are going to take these people away unless they do, as you say, in that little mini triage area that they've set up in the alley right next to your building, take care of it themselves. But there are ambulances there in case they need it, because we did see them come through. But that was just some video that we had. We are back live looking at a gentleman holding up the peace sign, right nose to nose with the police officers. They are right up on the police officers. They are not giving up.
Again. And the
trying to push them back.
Yeah, they're moving forward, and they are pushing them back, and they are able to do that with ease at this point.
And Julie, we've been talking about injuries and looking at that video where we've seen some folks with some gashes on their head, you know, some cuts, some scrapes. And you talked about this alley behind that building where you're at. Are you still seeing folks, you know, going through there, getting treated by some of the protesters?
I think it has more or less cleared out. That makeshift triage had about a dozen or so people. Now I'm actually looking at one of the women who has the duct tape in the form of a red cross on her arm and on her chest. She doesn't appear to be treating anyone now. So anyone who was hurt has either, walked themselves out of the area or received some professional medical treatment. To be honest with you, we did not see any ambulances in our particular area. It isn't to say that they didn't walk out of this area and go to an ambulance themselves. There were some serious-looking injuries. We did not see anyone unconscious, but we saw, a photographer out here, a still photographer, with a huge gash on his head, and I was on the phone with Scott. He said that he was hit by a police baton. So as we have heard in days leading up to this event, we were told it doesn't matter who's out here, whether you're a press person or a protester, they are not going to discriminate out here. If you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, you might take a hit too. But yes, people getting, hit with various things. Keep in mind that there were the anarchists throwing, bottles of some form of substance. Some bottles were blue, some were white, some were orange and yellow. What was in them is unclear to me at this time. Tom Negeman probably has a better idea of that on the ground. But I will tell you what we did feel from up here on the second level is when everyone was putting on their gas masks at one point, and that was probably a good hour ago or so.
Right. Okay, we may have lost Julie, but we are looking at some live pictures from another vantage point. This is not Julie's camera, but it looks like we are at the back of the line where the